Thank you so much. This is the Morning Brew live on NTN. We always appreciate when you tune in. Today is the 25th of September 2020. It's Friday, TGIF. My name is Jessie Leonce. If you're joining us from abroad, if you're in the diaspora, if you're a resident of St. Lucia tuning in this morning, if you're watching from your kitchen, if you're watching from your office this morning, a special good morning to you. If you're watching on air, online, you're on the go, on the road this morning. If you're at home watching from the channel 122 on live on NTN, a special good morning to you. We do appreciate every time you tune in to get the latest updates from the government of St. Lucia. This morning in our headlines for the 24-hour news cycle, we have the presentation of the 2020 CXC results, that is CAPE, CSEC and CCSLC coming out yesterday, well, day before yesterday, and of course us getting a presentation from the Ministry of Education here in St. Lucia as to how St. Lucia fared. We're just going to go over briefly the overview of the talking points of yesterday's presentation and how you can just go back and listen to the proceeding live on NTN. It was the Morning Brew that aired yesterday, presented by Lisa Joseph, and we did have the Chief Education Officer, Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer, there speaking on our performance for CXC. Also, we have the Folk Research Center to launch Creole Heritage Month. I'm so looking forward to that, with a focus on the Creole language. So excited to see how that is going to pan out. We have an update from the Ministry of Infrastructure with another episode of Eyes on the Road, the Kako Gira to Bocage Road Rehabilitation Status Update. And from the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, we have young basketball enthusiasts receiving valuable training in the foundation skills of that sport. The St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association is also providing educational assistance to the blind or visually impaired students and siblings. We have the details to that. And Voices of the Underground, episode 4 will be airing this weekend, Sunday, 7 p.m., same place, same time, from your living room, live on NTN, live from the CDF Facebook page. This fourth episode of the Poetry Live will feature signature poet Solitahi. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but we will hear from her in just a moment this morning. She will be calling in. She's living in the diaspora. She will be calling in and letting us know a bit more about herself. We're also scheduled to have Miss Drenia Frederick in studio with us to speak to us about the ongoing work of the CDF. So do stay tuned for these developments and more coming up for the duration of this morning's program. Whatever you're drinking, huddle up with us and listen to what the government is offering you this week.
She's been watching, waiting, wondering when the sands of time will give way to a tide of change, and for yesterday and today to become a new tomorrow. For a time when her sun can kiss the cheeks of your loved one and her stars can twinkle in her honeymoon skies. When her earthly embrace will reassure and calm your soul. And her unique view can change your whole perspective. Proudly, she has risen to meet new challenges and to provide safe harbor to all who reach her shores. For her hopes and dreams still stand, shoulder to shoulder, a precious reminder of experiences yet to come. So, wherever your moments and memories take you, let her sense of adventure set you free. She is St. Lucia. Let her inspire you.
Journée Creole encore, à nous célébrer, plus meilleur passé l'année passée. À nous aller, oui, chanter, oui, chanter, oui. Chanter en l'air d'idée, manger qu'à préparer, pour habiller belle, en hâte tradition tiselle, bagaille en temps longtemps, à sous exhibition, dernier dimanche en octobre, ou kaitan Creole plus souvent, ban. Journée
social media, YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. Sunday, 27 September from 2 p.m. Découvrez cette musique. Découvrez Paul.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. As many of you found out earlier this week, the CXC results were released, and to mixed reviews. Many persons got really a good grades. Some people didn't get too good grades, and so there has been just a mix of reactions from the region. But just to let you know what has been happening in St. Lucia, we had a presentation being made from the Ministry of Education right here from the GIS studios live on NTN for the Morning Brew. That was yesterday morning, Thursday, the 24th of September. And I encourage you to go back and take a look, take a listen as to their overview of the CXC results. And just to give you some information, if we're talking Caribbean Certificate of Secondary School Level Competence, just to let you know, that was the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, also CSEC and CAPE. So it's 3 exams, 3 level exams coming out of CXC. So 173 candidates from 6 secondary schools participated in the CCSLC, that is Bocage Secondary, PI, St. Lucia Sports Academy, Stanley John Odlum Memorial Secondary, Grand Revere Secondary, and Patricia D. James Secondary School. Also in the CAPE, the proficiency examination CAPE, 473 candidates sat these examinations, 51 candidates less than 2019. The 2 centers were Sir Arthur Lewis and the Viewfort Comprehensive Secondary. And the pass rate for CAPE, overall pass rates for CAPE was Unit 1 ranging from 60% to 100%, and Unit 2 ranged from 50% to 100%. So that's very favorable news. You're seeing that they're doing relatively well in those subject areas. In terms of CSEC, that is Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, and what we consider mostly to be CXC. Performance of candidates from 24 secondary schools were reviewed yesterday. General and technical proficiency levels included 34 subjects. Paper 1 of 30 subjects were done electronically via e-examination. Due to COVID-19, paper 2 of 3 subjects, that is French, Spanish, and HSB, that is Human and Social Biology, were done paper-based. There was French noted the lowest rate, and Industrial Technology, Mechanical Engineering, Physical Education, and Sports, Religious Education had the highest rates, being 100%. In industry, technology, mechanical engineering, 100% for 6 years. That has been maintained, so quite notable. In the 27 subjects, obtained a pass rate of over 70%. 16 out of 34 subjects recorded an increase in performance, and Human and Social Biology recorded the highest percentage increase of 25.99% in performance. So these are just a few updates coming from the review and the presentation being made by the Ministry of Education yesterday live here on NTN. So that is the latest update. We do encourage you to go back when you have some time on the weekend to take a listen, take a look at what transpired during that live. We continue with our updates this morning. The Monsignor Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center, as we know, FRC, in collaboration with the Cultural Development Foundation and Events Company of St. Lucia, Inc., will on Sunday, 27th September, launch Creole Heritage Month. The hosting of the festival has been tweaked to reflect the new normal COVID-19, which has been thrust upon our society. Executive Director of the FRC, Louise Victor, says this year the focus is on language, and as such, the FRC has changed the name of the festival to Moi Heritage Creole. So take a look at our first clip from the morning coming from Miss Louise Victor.
We will see a lot more daily and weekly educational material, which is very language-based. We will see special orthography classes as well as presentation of information in Creole for the month. And I think it is one of the best opportunities that COVID has provided for us from a cultural education perspective. And speaking of language, I think if you don't have it yet, it's an excellent opportunity to get your Creole dictionary. It's available at the FRC for $50 EC. Also, as part of this month observations, what you will see is a very deliberate target of new demographics in keeping with FRC's strategic direction to engage younger audiences.
The Cultural Development Foundation will again stage the Icon series, celebrating nationals who have contributed to the development of arts and culture. Ramona Wynn is the CDF's executive director.
A lot of times persons do a lot of work and they go to a great beyond with no recognition being given to them. But as a CDF, we try as much as possible to recognize the work that those persons have done, to raise that awareness amongst the younger persons in our society, because the drive right now is to ensure that our young persons get an appreciation for what is culturally St. Lucian, what is authentically St. Lucian, what is ours. We want them to appreciate that. And for us, doing the Icon series has given us that, or has presented an opportunity where we can take it to the younger children, and we do that through the schools. Although this year, because of the circumstance that has presented themselves, which I always like to see as an opportunity rather than a tragedy, we will be looking at other ways of presenting it so that that appreciation comes through, that understanding of the work of the icons comes through as well.
The icon for 2020 is actor and sculptor Arthur Jacob. The Director of Events and Production is at the CDF is Miss Drenia Frederick. She's giving an insight into Jacob's resume.
He performed in several of the Walcott Brothers productions, including Haitian Earth, an original member of the Turks Carnival Band. He is most remembered for his stellar performance in Derek Walcott's Dream on Monkey Mountain in Trinidad and Tobago. This year, we are celebrating the icon, and normally we have a big event. It would have been a fantastic theatrical production. But COVID has given us an opportunity to innovate, and I'm sure over the last week you've seen how CDF has innovated with our virtual programs. And we are pleased to join with ECSL and FRC to continue this process of innovation. We will produce a 30-minute short documentary on the icon as an actor and performer. And of course, you know, again, innovatively, we will create a platform, a product that is interesting, engaging, and entertaining. This documentary will also be divided up into 10-minute segments that will be placed on Instagram and onto social media.
Feature events for Moi Héritage Creole include Anou Danse Creole Setli, which is a 4-part series hosted by Jason C. Joseph, highlighting traditional and cultural dances. Radio personality, comedian, and music producer Kidel Sonny will also host a Feste Jouet, a mini-series featuring traditional games here on island. A fashion TV magazine program dubbed Belte Setli will showcase the Creole wear of local designers. Belte Setli will be hosted by Drenia Frederick, National Carnival Queen 2018 and Miss OECS for 2019. Cultural stalwart George Fish Alphonse will captivate in the storytelling of Edie Kui. So it's quite a packed program. We know that COVID-19 has hampered the whole physical activities, mass gatherings and what have you. But they, just like the staging of the National Arts Festival, will be having and showing Moi Héritage Creole virtually. We do have one more update to provide to you before we bring on our interviews for the morning. The Kako-Jiwa to Bocage Road Rehabilitation Project is approximately 40% complete. Just giving you a status update, the scope of work on this important back road includes the construction of new drains, retaining walls, and the laying of a new road surface. We get the details on this project from Eyes on the Road, a series featuring the Ministry of Infrastructure Information Unit.
We can also report progress here on the Kako to Jiwa Road Reconstruction Project. The scope of works include complete reconstruction of 1,442 meters of road, drainage and retaining walls. This is an important back road which connects several communities to the Babono district. So how are things going here on site? We spoke to the contractor, Mr. Andrew Simon, for an update on progress.
My name is Andrew Simon. I'm the CEO of Gary's Construction Services, Inc., and we were contracted by the Ministry of Infrastructure on the Jiwa Kako into Bocage Road Rehabilitation Project. We've been making some good progress. However, we've been hindered by the rain. We had some rain for the past couple of weeks that has slowed down our progress slightly. However, we are trying our utmost best to see how we could make up with some time so we can deliver so we can remain on schedule. Sorry. Our main focus is on the drainage, and when we're through with drainage, we will start our road rehabilitating. I think as we speak, we should be at about 40% on in terms of progress on this contract. We are hoping that we can deliver, and we're trying again, like I said, our best to see to it that we deliver on time. So far, we have a total of about, I think, the top of my head, about a crew of at least 25 men. And as you can see in the back there, everybody's at it, putting their utmost best to see to it we go ahead. On the schedule, we also have, we were hoping by the end of this month, we would have been through with the drainage, but we had some little issues. So we're looking at by the mid next month, so we're going to start off. We should be done with our drainage and then start our roads. This road here has always been a very narrow road, and of course, it happens to be a back road, so it tends to be very busy. A lot of people tend to commute through this road to avoid traffic, maybe on the highways and this kind of thing. So we are asking and we are pleading with motorists. We have people on site working on the road. So we're hoping that you could be patient with us and understanding, and of course, do drive with due care and attention too. This construction services is about standards, and standards and quality is our first and foremost aim. So we assure the St. Lucian public that we at Gary's Construction Services, Inc. will deliver a good quality and, of course, good road surface. Not just about quality in terms of duration as well. So we will deliver a good quality. I'm confident we will.
That was Mr. Andrew Simon, the contractor here at the Kako to Jira Road Reconstruction Project. You are tuned in to Eyes on the Road, a production of the Department of Infrastructure working for you. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
We definitely appreciate the series of Eyes on the Road from the Ministry of Infrastructure, giving us an update as to what's happening island-wide from the ministry. We now go to our interview for the morning. We have an international call on the line, and we want to get right to it. We have Solita. She is the 4th featured poet for Poetry Live, and we know that every Sunday now we come to expect and anticipate Poetry Live, Voices of the Underground, and she will be featured this coming weekend. A special good morning to you, Solita.
Good morning. How are you, Miss Leon?
I'm good, thank you. It's a pleasure having you on the line.
Thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me and making this opportunity possible. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. You and I are joined by a very special lady at the CDF. She's the director, Miss Drenia Frederick. Good morning to you, Drenia, as well.
Good morning. Good morning, Sita.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, my goodness.
So,
I'm in very good company today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Solita, I want us to open, with your thoughts and feelings about this latest project. Of course, we've had 3 episodes so far to take in, to absorb, to enjoy. What are your thoughts so far on this production of the CDF, as well as the special featuring of St. Lucian female poets?
Well, first of all, I think it is a wonderful initiative on the part of the CDF. I think anything we can do to push our cultural industry, push arts and entertainment in any form, especially now under COVID conditions, where we have to go virtual with a lot of things. I think it's an opportune time for all voices, creative and cultural, to come to the fore and to be able to express the realities of life as they see it. Yeah? So I would like to say that I've seen each episode that has come forth, and I have really appreciated the variety of perspectives, the variety of photography, the cinematography, everything that has gone into producing, the different voices of women in St. Lucia. As you know, women poets in St. Lucia tend not to have as large a space as male poets do. And so it's a really good thing that the CDF has taken on this initiative as part of its Voices Underground series.
Absolutely. There's definitely a call for gender parity in many spaces. And we know that, just don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but just some background information on you, that you are the daughter of the late Honorable George Odlum. If you could just speak to us about that relationship that you had with your father. We know he had great oratorical skills, his background in terms of being an academic, being for the people. Tell us about how that has influenced you and the way you are a creative.
Well, it's very interesting. I spoke very early. I mean, by two already I was, I had language, I could speak. So we were up in England at the time, and I can remember my introduction to poetry came from my father, actually. He would wake up very early in the mornings, and I'm talking about early, 4:35, he's up already and moving. And he would recite poetry in the grey, cool mornings. And somehow I would toddle up to where he was, upstairs, and I remember that he taught me my first poem.
Nice.
And it was a poem from William Blake. He liked the romantics and, that genre. And I can remember I learned, "Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry?" So, yes, my father was very instrumental in that way. And I came from a house where, we were very much into the arts. My mother played piano. My father and mother were both into literature. And so I think that I didn't really have a choice. And another thing I wanted to add, while talking about my father, I wanted to say that the person who really encouraged me to be a poet, though, was teacher Andrea Bourne. Miss Bourne used to encourage me to write in a little red notebook every day. She kept that notebook for many years, actually. And I'd write a poem a day, and she always encouraged me to write. So I must say that she was definitely an influence as well.
Wonderful. So your parents steeped in literature, and also your teacher at school. Speak to us about some of your other influences growing up and getting more and more immersed into poetry.
Well, for me, it's writing on the whole. I have always, as much as I'm articulate, I'm a writer first and foremost. So, I've always written. If something is not going right in my life, I write. If it's going right in my life, I write. So I definitely write from my intimate experience. And I knew I wanted to be a writer. I didn't quite get there, but I knew that's what I wanted to do in life. So I studied English literature because I knew one day I was going to be a writer. Not only was I going to be a writer, I was going to be a great writer. Well, fast forward to now. And, I knew that I had the capability because I'd win prizes when I wrote. And I had a very sort of, I had a gift, and I knew I had a gift. And, life has taken a different course for me in terms of that ambition. But I think right now I'm finally ready to publish the manuscript that I've been working on since 1998. So that was one influence. And another influence for me was the late Professor Michael Jilks. He respected the originality of my thinking in many ways, and he always encouraged me to be me. And to be me can be a very complex arrangement, I assure you. And he encouraged me. And I just wanted to reflect on him, seeing that he passed during COVID earlier this year. And he was such a seminal influence on me and the choices that I made at university regarding my academia. And he was my best lecturer, and I wanted to remember him here. I also wrote my master's thesis on St. Lucian novelist Gus Sintoma, a family friend. He also passed along, I think a couple or so, maybe about 3-4 years ago. And, you know, he was an influence as well. But in terms of actual sitting down and writing together and everything, I'd have to credit Adrian Auger with that. There was a time when I was in a very dark hole in my life, and Adrian Auger was the one. Oh, maybe I should give him his proper title. Dr. Adrian Auger, Dr. Senator. He was the one who came, and we used to sit together in my home in Maris Hill. It was a little A-framed house on East Winds Road, and we'd sit together, and every Friday night for about a year or so, we just go through looking at each other's work and, you know, critiquing it and getting it ready for the MNC Fine Arts Award scheme. So in a nutshell, those are some of the influences that I wanted to sort of bring to the fore.
Wonderful. And you just touched a bit on your education. Tell us how that coincides with your creative aspects.
Well, my education has fallen into two main trajectories. I am educated in English literature. I have postgraduate degrees in that. I have postgraduate degrees in gender. And sometimes the two come together in my writing and sometimes they don't. I was the University of Warwick's first Caribbean scholar to study women and gender. And when I got the scholarship and I went up, I think that was in 1994, it was the Sir Hugh Springer, Ulrich Cross, and I don't know, my goodness, the grey cells are failing me right now. There's one other person there. That's the name of the scholarship. So Sridath Ramphal, Hugh Springer, and Ulrich Cross scholarship. So I went up, and that's when I did Women and Gender. And I was told that the Women and Gender department fought hard to make sure that I got through as their first scholar from the Caribbean to study feminism. So those are some of the influences. And, you know, life has taken me in different turns. I have been a diplomat for the country. I now work in Women and Gender. So I can say that, you know, all of my academia and my life experiences have sort of coalesced as best as they could. But the writer part has been, you know, subsumed for a lot of years as I had to turn my mind around to thinking in more of the mindset of an international civil servant, which is quite different to writing poetry.
Nice. I like your take on that. This weekend, the Solita experience, the Poetry Live experience will take a turn because you are not in St. Lucia. Your experience was not filmed here on Ireland. Can you just tell us a little bit about what we can expect from you this weekend in terms of the Poetry Live and the setting and what you will be delivering to us on Sunday night?
Well, in many ways, it is indeed a surprise even for me because I have no idea how the footage and photography has been put together, and I'm really excited to see that, considering that I'm the first one whom you're doing from overseas. And you did ask me a question earlier, which I didn't answer. The pieces that I would be doing, one is a feminist piece, one is a piece about a social passion of mine, homelessness and poverty, and the other is a piece about a relationship between a man and a woman, and, you know, the man's what's the word I want?
It's okay.
His first passion is his cause, yes. So those are the three pieces I would be doing, and I forgot to answer that. So to go back to what's coming out, I don't know. But from what I've seen so far, I expect that it is going to be absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. We're all keeping our eyes peeled for that. I don't want to keep you too long, understanding that it's an international call. But when last were you home?
Yes. 2014.
Okay.
I was supposed to come home for Christmas 2019, and then the pandemic just threw everything out. So I haven't been home for a while, but trust me, I am home every single day, because as I telework, because we're still under COVID conditions, I telework. As I telework, I listen to radio in St. Lucia, because I find that somehow it gives me a good grounding in the day as a nice background to what I'm doing. So I'm always home. I may be in the diaspora physically, but in terms of my spirit, my soul, my artistry, I'm always very well grounded to St. Lucia. My navel string is in St. Lucia. Although I wasn't born there, my navel string is there. My artistic navel
Your
string.
DNA.
Definitely. Well, half. My mother's Vincentian.
Okay. Well, Solita, we really do appreciate you calling in and just letting us know a little bit about yourself as we dive into this weekend's Poetry Live experience. I do wish you all the best and congratulations on this new feature.
Thank you. And I just would like to say, that I really think that the Cultural Development Foundation is onto a good thing, and I don't think that it should stop with just this series. I think there should be some way to give continuity to other voices, along that same format.
Absolutely. Thank you, Solita, for the call in. Mrs. Solita, she will be featured this weekend on the Poetry Live. And if we could just go to, as we've ended this interview with Solita, thank you so much once again for speaking to us. We've lost the call? Okay. Well, Wayne, if you could just go to the promo video, just to showing what we can expect, to give us a glimpse, some insight into what we can expect for this weekend's Poetry Live featuring Solita.
You realize that we left our viewers in suspense as to who the feature poet is for this episode.
So should we tell them now?
We should give them a hint.
Okay, since you like games, let's play a little game. She's the daughter of a St. Lucian politician, the Honorable ... SLC, and her mother was a retired attorney at law.
She obtained
Voices of the underground coming on the rebound.
Ultimately, the power and passion of God in my life is peace, love, and stillness. That's what makes the difference in each day, especially on the days in darkling when I cannot write and there's seemingly no light. That is when I dig down deeply into the terrain of trust in God's unfolding to bring back rhyme and reason to what then feels like a life lived without real purpose.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the Morning Brew. If you just joined, just tuning in, we just had a promo video for this weekend's Poetry Live of Voices of the Underground. It's a production that's ongoing by the Cultural Development Foundation as part of National Arts Festival Outreach happening in St. Lucia. This coming weekend, we will be featuring, well, the CDF will be featuring Solita, and she is abroad. She's the first featured poet to be featured from overseas. And I now bring in Ms. Drenia Frederick, a director from the CDF, just to speak to us. Good morning to you, by the way, again.
Good morning.
Just to speak to us about how this was pulled off, because certainly it would be easier to have persons down here doing all the photo ops and what have you. Tell us about the experience working with a St. Lucian poet from abroad.
Well, it was really a team effort. So, Jacques-Claude Lago was the one really liaising with her and sending back information. So I think what we did, she recorded the poetry and someone, I think her daughter, recorded it for her on an iPhone.
Wow.
And that footage was sent to us and was sent to Albies. And of course, I suppose the magic of camera, cinema, and to work on the pieces in terms of that. And her interview in terms of creating a sort of a story with images. So as images, still images and video. So I think that would be quite interesting. I must say it was quite a challenge, and it required us to, I don't even know this to say think out of the box. I think it's to move away totally from the box and give the same feel and element as the first four, but slightly different. And I want to say each episode is different. Each poet, each style is different. And each way that they're introduced, like for instance, we see the host having this banter about who she is. The whole format is different.
Okay.
Maybe at the point where we do the analysis of the song, then it comes a little lower down. So I think people will be a little surprised and a little intrigued. Okay, so that is how you did that within the COVID environment. And some people may ask, well, why is it the last two, those were not there? We wanted to build a sort of a rise. So you start off with one poet and it gradually, so I think we peaked at number 3 with Naomi, and now number 4 is that it's just climbing. So by the time we get to Jane and Dublin, you would have reached that sort of crescendo, that climax. So that
would be a real crescendo with Mrs. Ippolit and Mrs. Dublin, with Miss Dublin. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing from them.
Yeah, so it took a bit of creativity in terms of piecing it together. Yeah, and her interview was, she answered the questions, and the interview was long, and I think it was Lacan who said to me, Drenia, it needs to go down to 5 minutes. I'm like...
That's Solita?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like, no, but everything she's saying is important, is significant, everything. And really honing in on, okay, so you need to say this, you need to say this, okay, this is relevant, okay, here's the 5 minutes. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised. It gives you a sort of an insight into her. Yes. Apart from what we know as the activist, orator, it really gives that sort of personality, so you understand this woman, she is dynamic, and it is really an extraordinary woman with that talent.
And you're also pulling in, you continue to pull in persons from different generations, because you started with Gina, then you had Catherine, Naomi, and now Solita, who's also bringing in some historical context, because persons are going back down memory lane, perhaps remembering political meetings of her father, inspiring delivery and so on. So it's definitely encapsulating the entire St. Lucian experience.
Yes, it is, but I think on her own, she has really made her mark.
Absolutely.
And I think we want people to see that. And it's funny that she spoke about we're featuring 6 female poets. CDF has realized that we often highlight male poets. We hear about them. I'm sure if I asked you to name 2 male poets, it would be at the top of your head. Whoosh! You say Robert Lee, you'd say Kendall, you'd say...
Even like latest suspects, Vladimir, Tracy,
Yes, so... And so what we wanted to do is to really... And that is the underground. Bring to the forefront persons who are not seen, and persons who produce really good work, and we're not aware of it. It's not directly in front of us where we could just pull the name at the top of our heads and realize that the contribution to literature and the arts in St. Lucia, women have contributed significantly to that. And that is one of the points that we wanted to drive home. And really, for me, not that I'm a feminist, but I believe we're all feminists, whether we know it or not. Whether we know it or not, that women have that capability of what I think is to balance the world. And it's that balancing of life and creativity that continues to, in terms of whether we think the world is chaotic, that brings some sort of balance and sanity.
Well, I'll be tuning in on Sunday for my fix of sanity. But it was definitely interesting speaking to Salita. You know, she brought me back to remembering MNC Fine Arts Awards, you know, that sort of atmosphere and community that happened, you know, many years ago among artists, among literary figures here in St. Lucia. And it's sort of being reignited by the CDF, I feel, with this, because people are beginning to talk about it again. People are beginning to ask questions. Well, how did these people get into this poetry live? You know, so I'm definitely expecting for a continuation next year of this series, as well as the others that that's coming on for the year. If we could speak about that. I mean, persons are definitely like, okay, so this is the beginning of outreach. What is coming up?
Well, we've dropped bits of the theater, and as you know, we're doing a reality theater series. I must say that
Remember mentioned that.
So the two plays we're doing, Give Me a Second Chance, Hayden Ford, again, that generational, what I call, well, I wouldn't say gap, but a difference in generation. Hayden is of a different generation, and we have Daniel Dubois, who's definitely of the millennial generation, doing a play called Gopwell Rehabilitation Center. Every time I say it, I have to, okay, Gopwell Rehabilitation Center. And watching the two of them work towards production, and watching the turmoil and all the triumphs and joys with the actors, and recording those moments of someone saying, "Get off stage," and the person going off, and their experience in going through this emotional hurdle of being told go off stage, you're not doing it right, and then coming back on stage and just re-engaging. I think I'm not sure how St. Lucian audiences will receive it, but it will be an eye-opener into theater in St. Lucia. And when you go to see a production and you're sitting there, you have no idea the hurdles and obstacle races that those persons have to go through, from sponsorship to working with the actors to finding a space, and to just sum up the courage and the strength to do what you think is right and the message that you want to put out there.
Okay, reality.
Yes.
TV.
Yes.
Talk to me.
We chose the medium of reality television because I didn't want a documentary that sounds like some National Geographic, and there you have the director working from the side, and we wanted people to be engaged, to see that these are real people.
Okay.
This is life. And
because there is the connotation, sorry to cut you short, of reality television, the salacious aspects, and how do you mix it in with being meaningful and nation building? How will we see that play out?
We will see that play out in what happens in the 10 series. Okay, after you've seen all of the drama, but at the end of the drama, there is still that, you know, sometimes there's drama and then things fall apart. We want people to see that despite the drama, things don't fall apart. You can disagree. You can have a different opinion.
Nice.
We can get on each other's nerves, but at the end of the day, we must work towards a common goal. And that's what the theater is. Nothing else matters. The production is the thing. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to like you. I don't have to, after we've ended rehearsal, go sit and lime with you. But we know that this is our common goal. This is where we all want to reach together. And I say that from experience. Many years ago, I had done the production of Serafina, and people thought all those 40 people on stage were wonderful, and they all got along. They did not. I often tell people sometimes when you'd go backstage, you'd see people who's calling, "I said don't touch my things. Somebody took my shoes," and that going on. Girl, move away from me. And then all of that going on, and they're preparing, and who's getting into character. And the stage manager, I just stood there one night and had that surreal experience. The stage manager just walking through all of that and saying, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that 5 minutes, and just watching all those people move to the wings of the stage. They still have their turmoil. And then when the lights come up, they come on.
Mm-hmm.
And they work towards that common goal. So it's that, and maybe it's a greater message for us.
Absolutely.
That despite our differences, that we should work towards a common goal, and that is how you achieve something. And that is how you build. I would take it in the context of building your nation. You may have your different views, but at the end of the day, we come to a compromise. That's what we want to achieve together. We will do it. And that's what the theater teaches. If you notice, people who do theater, they're different. It's almost like one of them said to me, your life is transformed. You don't see the world like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. And you understand that that is that determination that you need. And hoping that it would inspire many people, inspire young persons to continue working and pushing towards your dream. I mean, when you look at Hayden, he's been doing theater for 19 years. You keep pushing and working towards your dream. Now, you may think that, well, I haven't achieved my dream. But when you sit down and you analyze it, you may have achieved some part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what parts of it have you achieved? And what parts of it can you celebrate? And how do you continue to push through? I think it's someone once said to me, I think it was Teresa Colimo, that the artists who make it are not those who stand up in front of the obstacle and say, oh boy, there's an obstacle in front of me, but you find a way around it. And that's the message that we want to teach people, and to let people know that the arts, it's a way of, if you want to find yourself, if you want to give yourself that mindset that, okay, I want to really move away from my little shell and being afraid, this is the medium.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because if you look at those young persons doing theater arts, and you have a young lady here who did theater arts, I'm sure she did not see herself doing that, and how it transforms
I'll just put it out there, Naomi.
How it,
behind the camera.
How it transforms their lives. You see them come into the class one way, and by the end of their stint at the school, they become the stars of the school. They become those persons who spearhead committees.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really allowing people to be themselves and to hone in on that creativity that somehow through our system that we've sort of stifled. You know, we're all sitting in chairs right up to Form 5 and sitting at a desk, and really allowing us to go back into that imagination and creativity that will allow us to innovate, invent, and just mushroom into something fantastic.
Wonderful. And with that said, there have been many young persons, even older persons as well, who've seen the Voices of the Underground series so far and feel inspired, triggered, prompted to get involved somehow. Can you just tell us how persons can get involved, whatever talents they may have or talents they want to hone, get involved with the work of the CDF?
CDF is very open to everybody. If you want to work with us, the doors are open. CDF has been there for more than 30 years, and over 30 years, and this is an institution that we have never really, what they say, toot your own horn.
Mm-hmm.
And some persons may say, well, they don't know what CDF is doing, what is CDF about? But you have not realized that CDF has made sure that some form of our intangible heritage has been kept alive for that period of time. And if you go back, you would realize that CDF was responsible for the revival of Steel Pan, the junior panorama. In terms of CDF was the one who initiated Steel Pan in Labrie, in Mico. And you begin to understand, okay, this is the work of CDF. the institution is significant. How can I get involved? How can I work towards this mandate and this concept of development and innovation? And really, in a sense, some people say building a creative industry, but building a creative industry with the talent, with the people who matter, the people who are producing the content. How do we get it to a point where we can say this is distinctly St. Lucian, brand it, and benefit from it?
Absolutely.
So this is the point in which CDF is at. CDF is open. You can call us. You can go onto our website. You can walk in, and we're open. We're open to young people. We're open to ideas, and this whole outreach is really to let people get a teaser into what we can achieve and what we can do. Start thinking differently. We need to start producing programming for us to watch about ourselves.
Yes.
And if we think that it's insignificant, it's significant. I think the world now is looking for content. And I think CDF believes that we can produce our own content and be on a playing field where we say, well, we have our own content, let's talk. So in terms of that, this is where the CDF is going, and we're hoping that out of that we will see other programs from other people.
And finally, as we wrap up, Moi Héritage Creole, talk to us about the foundation's role in this year's staging.
Well, as you know, we're collaborating with ECSL and the Folk Research Center. And our contribution to it is more or less the arts component. We're producing a short documentary on Arthur Jacobs, who's our 2020 icon. And of course, normally we would have had this grand theatrical production. However, that is not the case. And so we're producing this documentary on him that will be aired on television, on streaming platforms. And it really encompasses his life as an actor, sculptor, and his contribution in terms of the Caribbean to the arts. And what he's really known for in Trinidad and Tobago, his performance in Dream on Monkey Mountain. That it's what we call his stellar performance. So that's due for I believe the 25th of October. And also the staging of the La Marguerite Festival, the Schools Festival on the 16th of October. And of course, the big day for La Marguerite, the 17th of October. Again, because of our protocols, and they will be doing the church services in their communities on a smaller scale.
Okay.
And of course, we have our theater, reality TV theater. We have put it into our contribution to arts and heritage. It will also air in October. So we're looking forward to that, and I know that FRC and events company are doing a lot of virtual things that quite interesting. I think people will be pleasantly surprised.
I mean, I'm seeing here you have Jason C. Joseph, Bachelor. We also have what's his name, Keedell. Quite a few, really outstanding personalities that I'm definitely looking for.
And of course, they brought back George Fish.
Fish,
yes, who's a master storyteller.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to October.
So am I. And more for the cuisine as well.
Yes.
But thank you so much for sitting in. Any final words as we close and go on into this next episode of Poetry Live?
Tune in on Sunday. Tune in. Be there, 7 o'clock. NTN. HTS and Facebook, CDF's Facebook page. Be there.
Thank you so much, Drenia. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And with that, we round off the Morning Brew. We had the updates earlier for the morning, and now the interview. We're featuring Solita for Poetry Live of the Voices of the Underground. A series is the first in the showcasing of the National Arts Festival here in St. Lucia. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jessie Leon signing off for now. Do stay tuned for more NTN programming, and do have a safe and enjoyable weekend as we enter into October. I can't wait. Bye-bye. Enjoy.